Prague is divided into quarters. The Old Town, the Jewish Quarter, crossing the river, the Little Quarter, and then finally up to the castle which overlooks the city. We stayed in a small hotel which was situated about 400 metres from the Old Town. Powder Gate is a much restored Gothic gate that stands at the entrance to the Old Town. You could spend hours in the Old Town, going to restaurants or browsing at shops. Some of Prague's colourful history is preserved around the Old Town Square in the form of its buildings. On the north side of the square is the Church of St. Nicholas. This used to be a Benedictine monastery. On the east side of the square, there's a Gothic town palace, which is known as the House with the Stone Bell. Dominating the Old Town Square are the magnificent steeples of this historic church of Our Lady Before Tin. The present Gothic building was started in 1365. One of the most striking buildings in Prague is the Old Town Hall, established in 1338.
We're now going to go up the tower, which you can see behind me, to have views over the Old Town Square in Prague.
A colourful array of houses of Gothic origin, with fascinating house signs, graces the south side of the town square. This house is called the Two Golden Bears and was constructed in 1590. The Klausen Synagogue was completed in 1694. It now houses Hebrew prints and manuscripts and an exhibition of Jewish traditions and customs, tracing the history of the Jews in Central Europe back to the early Middle Ages. Joining the synagogue is a building that looks like a tiny medieval castle. It was built in 1906 as a ceremonial hall of the Jewish Burial Society. The Old Jewish Cemetery. This remarkable site was, for over 300 years, the only burial ground permitted to Jews. Founded in 1478, it was slightly enlarged over the years, but still basically corresponds to its medieval size. People had to be buried up to 12 layers deep because of the lack of space in the cemetery. Pinkas Synagogue Founded in 1479, it has been rebuilt many times over the centuries. The synagogue now serves as a memorial to all the Jewish Czechoslovak citizens who were imprisoned in the Petrin concentration camp and later deported to various Nazi extermination camps. The names of the 77,297 who did not return are inscribed on the synagogue walls. The present building of the Spanish synagogue dates from the second half of the 19th century. The exterior and the interior are both pseudo-Moorish in appearance. The rich stucco decorations on the walls and vaults are reminiscent of the Alhambra in Spain, hence the name the Spanish Synagogue. Prague's most familiar monument, Charles Bridge, was founded by Charles IV in 1357 and connects the old town with the little quarter. It is now pedestrianised, but at one time you could take 4 carriages abreast. Many of the statues on the bridge are copies. The originals are kept in the National Museum. An integral part of the old town's fortifications was the old town bridge tower. This was built at the end of the 14th century. Cross Charles Bridge from the old town and visit the little quarter, with shops, side streets and bars give you a relaxing time to wander. To the west of the little quarter, Petrin Hill rises above the city to a height of 318 metres. To visit Petrin Park, the observatory, the observation tower and the garden, then the funicular is the easiest way to get to the top.
We're now at the top of Petrin Hill by way of the funicular that's brought us here, and behind me is the observatory where if we go in there we might have a good view of the stars.
Most conspicuous landmark in Petrin Park is an imitation of the Eiffel Tower, built in the Jubilee exhibition of 1891. The octagonally shaped tower is only 60 metres, a quarter of the height of the Eiffel Tower, but its top is higher above sea level. Fortifications built around the southern edge of the Little Quarter on the orders of Charles IV in 1360 to 62 have been known for centuries as the Hunger Wall. The wall provided work for the poor and thus saved them from starving in the Great Famine.
We are now in the Royal Gardens, and behind me is Belvedere, which was the Queen's summer palace, but unfortunately she never lived to see it completed.
The Royal Guard keep the palace secure. From the time Prague Castle was first fortified in stone in the 11th century, the palace was the seat of Bohemian princes. Valeslav Hall. The hall's magnificent rib vaulting was designed by Benedict Reed in the 1940s. The royal court was like a public market in the 17th century, but it is used today for the swearing in of Czech presidents. The New Land Rolls. These rooms are decorated with the crests of clerks who worked here from 1561 to 1774. The medieval parliament was also the throne room, destroyed by fire in 1541, but it was rebuilt in 1563. St George's Basilica and Convent. Founded by Prince Bratislav between 915 and 21, the basilica predates St Vitus Cathedral and in the best preserved Romanesque church in Prague. Golden Lane, named after the goldsmiths who lived here in the 17th century, this short narrow street is one of the most picturesque in Prague. One side of the lane is lined with tiny brightly painted houses which were built right into the arches of the castle walls. These were constructed in the late 1500s. St Vitus Cathedral. The work begun on the city's most distinctive landmark in 1344 on the orders of John of Luxembourg. The Golden Portal. Until the 19th century, this was the main cathedral entrance with a mosaic of the Last Judgment. The chancel is remarkable for the soaring height of its vault, counterpointed by its intricacy of the webbed Gothic tracery. Walk around St Vitus takes you back through 1,000 years of history. You will see some of the best elements of the modern neo-Gothic style and continue past a succession of side chapels to catch glimpses of artifacts, saintly relics and works of art from Renaissance paintings. St Wenceslas Chapel. Golden frescoes with scenes of the Bible and the life of the saint cover the walls, interspread with a patchwork of polished gemstones. To end your visit in Prague, you must go into the Café Louvre and have a wonderful afternoon tea.